Hello, welcome to Ezido Multi Enterprise. I know it's been a while and we've been away for some time, so we are very very sorry for staying away for some time due to some little things. So we are back to continue to where we stopped. um, Today class will be very very interesting, just like we have been doing before. We try to make this class as interactive as possible. As we have said before, if you have any question, drop them in the comment section and we'll always give response to your question. And also like and follow our Facebook page, and also you can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram also. So once again, you are very very much welcome. I still remain your tutor, Daniel. So let us go into today's business. So today we'll be looking at solar system sizing. So what's solar system sizing? That's before you install any solar system, you have to know the sizes of things, the number of panels, the size of inverter, size of charge controller, size of wire, every other thing that is necessary to do that installation. You need to know what capacity would power your load. So that is what we want to look at today. So today there are things that you have to learn by the end of this class. You will understand some basic things. The first thing you understand is how to calculate your total energy consumption, because without knowing the total energy that you are consuming, you cannot even know the kind of system that will. And also you know how to determine the size of inverter, battery, panels that you need. And also you will also learn how to plan your solar system efficiently and also avoid overspending. So when you know what you want to do, you will not buy unnecessary things. You will not buy things that are not needed. So you end up spending exactly what you need to spend for any particular project. So there are steps that are needed for you to get your sizing correct. And the first thing that you know that you will do is try to know your the needs, your power needs. Try to know your power needs. And how do you know your power needs? The first thing is to make a load list. A load list. What is a load list? A load list is a list of all the appliances, all the things that you use in your house. Maybe like you have bulbs, say okay, LED bulbs, how many watts, how many pieces, and how long do you use those things. So that is what a load list is all about. So write them down, every appliances that you want to power. Sometimes you may want to install a solar system, but you want them to power some certain loads and you don't want them to power some certain load depending on your finance. Maybe you want to do a solar system that will not be powering your freezer, but will just power your bulbs, fan, TVs, and so on. So you just write down everything that you want to power, even whether you are the homeowner or even the solar installer. This is all what you need to do. So just look at the example here. We have this example that we'll be using for this class. You see the appliances and their rating, their quantity, and the total power they consume. Just take for example, I am the installer, and in the customer's house, these are all the appliances that are in the customer's house that the customer want the solar system to power. So you see there is LED bulb, there is TV, there is fan, there is fridge, laptop, and you see all their power ratings, the quantity, and you see at last the total power or the total load when you add all the powers together, it's 505 watts. So we'll be working with that 505 watts. So just keep that in mind. Every calculation that we'll be doing, we'll be using this 505 watts. Now let us calculate the energy that is being used per day in that house. So that's what we want to calculate. How to calculate energy? The formula of energy is power times multiplied by time. Now, power, that is power in watts, multiplied by the time, the amount of hours that particular uh, appliances is being used. So that's how you calculate energy. So we'll be making use of that. So if you use these appliances for 6 hours per day, so that will be 505 watts. That means the total power times 6 hours. That will give you 3030 watts per hour. 30 watt hour rather. So that is the total uh, power that is being used by that house per day. Mind you, there are some times when you go to a customer's house, the customer will tell you that, oh, I only use this bulb for so time, I use this for so time, fridge for so time. So you can do independent power calculation for each appliances before you now add up. But this one, we just assume that everything will be used for 6 hours. So that is how we come up with this. So for you, if you want to do for a customer, you have to take note of individual appliances, how many hours they run, and calculate the power per day that they consume, and add up everything together so that you can use for further calculation. So that's how you get your energy that is being used per day. So we assume that they are using those equipment for 6 hours. So that's how you use, that is how you calculate the energy equals to power multiplied by time. That's daily energy demand. So the second thing that you need to do is to size your inverter. With the calculation that we have already gotten our load, and we've gotten the energy consumed per day. So the inverter must be slightly higher than your total load to handle surges. So you understand, your inverter, the load is 505 watts and the power is 3030 watts hour. So you see, the inverter now must be slightly higher than the total load so that it can be able to handle anything. Maybe sometimes slight surge may just happen, so the inverter must be able to handle it. So by normal rule of thumbs, the inverter size is equal to your total load multiplied by 1.25. So if we want to do it now, we'll say 505 multiplied by 1.25. Why do we multiply by 1.25? Just like we have said, to handle surge. So you give some tolerance. So this will help the inverter so that it will not just uh, uh, face some kind of challenges and then got burnt or one thing or the other. So when you do that, for that with our example, 505 watts multiplied by 1.25, you will be having 630 watts. So 630 watts is your actual power that those appliances will be. Sorry, the calculation for your inverter is 630 watts. So those appliances or your inverter should be able to continuously power 630 watts. So for you to the kind of inverter that you use probably will be 1 kVA, because if you look at it, 1 kVA is equal to 800 watts. So you understand, when you understand what power factor is all about. So 1 kVA is equal to 800 watts. So since 800 watts is quite bigger than 630 watts, so 1 kVA is just enough to power those load. So the next thing that we want to do is your battery. The size of your battery bank. Batteries is what stores your power, the power that is gotten from the solar panel during the day, especially when you are not using some appliances in the day. Those energy are stored in the battery, so you need the right amount of battery for you to efficiently carry power a system through the night. So the formula to calculate for the amps of battery that you need is the energy multiplied by the backup hours that you intend. Like some people, their backup hours might be 12 hours, some their backup hours might be 2 hours, 3 hours. It depends on what we mean by backup hours. Backup hours is the number of hours your battery should spend after sun has gone. So that means how many hours can your battery last after the sun during the night time. So some people can design a 24 hours backup, a 48 hours backup, just depending on how the customer's funds or finance can carry. So the size of battery that is needed, or the battery amps, is energy times the backup hours multiply divided by the system voltage multiplied by depth of discharge and efficiency. So please just take note of this formula. It is very, very important. So when you do this, we have already gotten our energy before. Our energy is 3030 watts hour. So, and for this, I'll be trying to use like a backup time of 6 hours, and I'll be using a 12-volt system. And the depth of discharge, I'll just assume depth of discharge to be like 80%, and efficiency to be like 90%. So I'll just use those figures for this tutorials. So using 6 hours per day, 505 watts multiplied by 6 hours, that is 3030 watt hour. And the assumptions, just like I've said, the depth of discharge 0.8 and the efficiency 0.9. So you see that our battery that we need, the amps of battery that we need, when you do the calculation, is 350.7 amps hour. So you understand that you already gotten the amps hour that is needed. So with this amps hour, you can determine the number of batteries that can give you this amps hour depending on your configuration. So let us go back to that. Like I was saying, depending on the battery or your configuration, you can determine how many number of battery. If you are using a 200 amps battery, if like 220 amps tubular battery is what you want to use, and it's a 12-volt system, you divide the 350 by 220. That will give you 1 point something. So that will tell you that you need a minimum of two tubular battery. That will be 440 amps hour. You see, that will just be perfect. So depending on the system, you just divide it by the rating of the battery, the amps rating of the battery that you want to use. That's what you divide this answer with, and then you get the number of, you round it off and get the number of batteries that will satisfy your needs. So the fourth step is to size your solar panel, and this one is very very critical and crucial. Panels must generate at least as much energy as you consume daily. You understand? So the daily consumption, the panel must be able to generate that. So the formula for that is the power of the panel is equals to energy multiplied by 1.3 divided by the sun hours. That's the maximum hours you have sun. Like in Nigeria now, you can see 4 to 5 hours. That's our the peak time for we have our peak sun. The maximum time we have our peak sun around 4 to 5 hours. So the power of your panels is equals to energy multiplied by 1.3 over the sun hours. If you have about 5 sun hours per day, just the assumption that I'm using, so the energy as we have calculated is 3030 multiplied by 1.3 divided by 5. So the total panel power that you need is 788 watts. So why do you multiply by 1.3? So you see, when when you are doing calculations about all these solar stuffs, and you are doing your calculations on your book or whatever, you see, one thing is this: the calculation you are doing on your book is an ideal situation. In that your calculation, there is no loss, there is nothing, there is no weather problem, no over temperature, nothing, no loss, no. So that is an ideal situation, and that is different from reality. So in in solar engineering, you add some tolerance to it. So that is a normal rule of thumb. You at least around 1.25 to 1.5. That's what you use to multiply it. So to compensate for those losses. So that is why you need to add 1.3. And mind you, as we are talking about this energy, that is this panel power that is being calculated, is the one that will satisfy the load. So do not get me wrong now. This is the amount of panel that will satisfy the load. So if you want to be running your load continuously and still be able to charge your battery, then you have to now put the battery charging into consideration. But now we are just looking at satisfying the load. So at the end of it, our calculation gives us 7,788 watts. So it is very very simple to know the kind of panels, or the how many panels that you will be using. If you are using 400 watt panel, you divide this 788 by 400. You see that you'll be using two panels. If you are using 300 watt, divide 300 by 788, you see that you'll be using 3 panels, because you are going to round it off so that to get something whole. So you understand, it is very very simple. And if you are knowledgeable in solar, you will know that yes, you have to add extra. Take caution for cloudy days. You have to add extra, though sometimes it depends on the customer's finance. Sometimes you don't add, but when the finance is there, you put all these things into consideration. Just make a 20 to 30% extra. That means when I say 20 to 30%, 20% of the load or of the energy that is being consumed per day, or 20% of the total panel, or 30% of the total panel. That is just it. You add it just to compensate for cloudy days. And the fifth thing that you do is choose the charge controller size. That is very very simple also. All that you need to know is that charge controller amps is the total panel watt divided by the system voltage. So once in this our system we are using 12 volts system, and we are using 788 uh, watts of panel divided by 12, that will give you 65.7 amps. You see, 65.7 amps. There is no 65, there is no 70 amps charge controller. So the charge controller that is left for you to use is 80 amps MPPT. So if you use 24 volt or 48 volt system, the current required will drop accordingly. So now that is why you have to be knowledgeable enough in this calculation aspect before implementing a solar installation in sites. If you are asked to design a system and you see that okay, you are doing a 12 volt system, you're doing 12 volt system, especially as the more the load goes up, the more the need for more panels, and the more the current those panels generate increase, and your charge controller will directly increase. And see, one thing about that is that once you go for 24 volt system, the current that will be needed to satisfy that system will be half of what we are having here. And what that signifies is that the wires that you are going to use will become smaller, your system will run cooler, it will not generate a lot of heat. So the higher your system voltage, the lower the current it uses, and that will also lower the rate it generates heat. So it is right to say higher system voltage runs cooler than lower system voltage. It is very, very important to know that. So all that we have said this evening is just all about what sizing of solar system is all about. There are some aspects we have not talked about. That is talking about wires and other breakers and every other thing. In our next and subsequent class, we'll talk about that. So you stay tuned and keep following Ezido Multi Enterprise. Drop your comments or questions anywhere you are not cleared, and we'll give answers to you. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and YouTube, and you will not regret doing that. Thank you. Till we see next time. Bye.